Next on BBC One this afternoon, Near and Far goes up in the mountains.
We're up in the mountains of North Wales. It's a place that attracts many visitors, especially the motorist. But in the mountains, roads are few and far between. So if you really want to explore the place, you'll have to park your car and walk. Mind you, you should never go alone. With me is Derek Mays, an experienced mountaineer. You should also be properly equipped. Derek, I brought this map because you said we're going to need one to find our way through the mountains. Is that all right?
No, this is a motoring map, and it really only shows roads and nothing in great detail at all. We need a larger scale map, giving us much more detail.
A motoring map is all right if you just want to drive from place to place. But if you're walking up in the mountains, you need a map showing you the steepness of the slopes. This is a map with contours on it, and also it shows where the dangerous cliffs are. Here and here.
Once you leave the road, there are very few signposts, so it's important to work out exactly where you're going on the map. Hardly anyone lives in the mountains, so you can't ask for directions. It's always important to tell someone where you're planning to go, just in case you get lost or have an accident. Walking in the mountains can be quite tricky, even when you're on a footpath, and you really have to watch your step.
You'll find it much colder up in the mountains, Mary, and you'll need to wear warm clothing even in the summer. A waterproof anorak with a hood is essential in case it rains. People often forget that there's hardly anywhere to shelter on the mountains. Oh, I'm glad you managed to get some proper climbing boots.
You can see that the boots are fairly important here, Mary. You know, with wet rock, you need quite stiff boots and with lots of ankle support.
Yes, well, mine feel a bit stiff at the moment,
Yes,
but I
well,
suppose by the time we get to the top of the mountain, I'll have worn them in a bit.
Yes, they'll get a bit softer as you go along. Well, they'll feel softer, but the idea is to protect your ankle, really.
We have to cross the stream just over there. Follow me. Use these boulders as stepping stones.
The ground's really very soggy here, Derek. Is it always this bad?
Yes, there's a lot of rain in the mountains, of course, and it's very wet here now.
When we were coming up, I noticed a lot of moss. That always grows in wet, marshy places, doesn't it?
Yes, there's lots of moss in this area, and here's some moss here, which is particularly wet, and if you just pull a clump out and squeeze it.
Now, Just watch, and you can see how much water there is in it.
It's just like a sponge.
Yes, it is. Go off across there.
The sky looks pretty black, actually, Derek. Do you think it's going to rain?
Yes, the weather changes very quickly in the mountains.
It's got a lot colder, too.
Yes, and the higher you go, the colder it gets too. I think before the end of the day, we're going to need our bad weather clothing.
Yeah, just as well we've got it.
Do you see what's happening up there, Mary? You can actually see the clouds forming. The air is getting pushed upwards by the mountain, and as it rises, it gets colder. There's always moisture in the air, but you don't normally see it. And when the air cools down, the moisture forms into tiny droplets of water. Very often, as the clouds go over the mountains, the droplets fall down as rain.
How much rain do you get in the mountains?
Oh, nearly 6 times as much as on the coast, only 20 kilometres away. That's why the streams hardly ever dry up. All this rainwater runs down the mountainside and along the valleys below. On its way down the mountain slopes, the rainwater sometimes collects in lakes. There are dozens of lakes in these mountains. But there are some lakes you would never see unless you're prepared to climb. There's one higher up that mountain over there. All we can see from here is the stream that comes down from it. I'll show you where it is on the map. Here's the stream just here. Now, from the lake up here, the stream runs down the mountainside into this bigger lake.
Is it possible to get up to that lake there?
Yes, it's possible, but you can see how steep it is by the closeness of the contours. Always go for a footpath and stick to it, because there may be steep cliffs close by, like these. See how this footpath goes gradually up the slope? Footpaths like this make it so much easier for walkers.
But climbers wouldn't want to take the easy way.
That's true. If a climber is properly equipped, he can go straight up a sheer cliff and still be very safe. But that's only for experienced climbers, using ropes and working as a team.
I'd be terrified.
Not if you had the right kind of training. I'm stepping across now. Okay. This is tricky. Hang on a minute.
Well, they seem to know what they're doing, and they have got ropes. But even so, accidents do happen, don't they?
I'm afraid so. And when they do, people like me are called out to join the rescue party. Rescuing injured climbers can be very difficult and dangerous work. Down, down. Come on, more. Down a bit. One danger for someone lying injured on the mountain is cold. In winter, he could easily die of exposure. So we have to get the injured man down off the mountain and into hospital as soon as possible.
How on earth are they going to get him all the way down there?
Yes, well, we use a special kind of stretcher for that. He's one of the lucky ones. Just a broken leg. Anyway, it's about time we did some climbing, Mary. There's a good view down the valley. Look. See the river winding its way along? And just a little way up the side of the valley, there's the road. Let's see those on the map. Here's the river, along here, and just a few contour lines up the slope is the road.
The land each side of the river is quite flat, isn't it?
Yes, as you see from the map, the contours are wide apart there.
It's getting quite cold, really. Don't you think we ought to go?
Yes. We decided to return to the car by a route we'd planned and view the mountain from the valley below. Here we could just see Mount Snowdon. Its triangular peak, the one in the middle, is the second highest in Britain and can be reached by one of the several well-trodden footpaths. This group of youngsters are preparing for the climb. They're David, Gary, the leader of the group, Rachel, and Tanya.
If we get lost.
Before setting out on their journey, they're doing what all mountain walkers should do, leaving details about where they're planning to go and the route they're going to take. These details can be written on almost any piece of paper and left with your parents or someone whose job it is to help mountain walkers.
I'll show you where we're going.
In a youth hostel, perhaps. Whoever you leave them with, don't forget to let them know when you return from the mountains. On a large-scale map, the footpath is marked by a dotted line. It climbs gradually at first until it reaches a lake. From here, the footpath levels out and then climbs again to a second lake. It crosses the lake by a causeway and follows the bank round on the other side. Here it leaves the lake and begins to climb more steeply to a third lake. The path goes along here, turning away to climb very steeply up the mountainside. We know that because it crosses contour lines that are very close together. There's a big turn here and another steep climb that takes you right up to the summit. To begin with, the walk is fairly easy. Although the sides of the mountain are very steep, the footpath takes a gentler slope that gradually climbs upwards. The path follows the route of an old track built by miners who once worked copper mines high up in these mountains. Hence its name, the Miners' Track. You can walk for hours in these mountains without meeting anyone. All the time you must keep an eye on the weather. Up there, the peaks have disappeared in the cloud. At last, another walker. It's the mountain ranger, someone who knows these mountains well.
Go to the top then?
Yes, all the way.
Well, the weather's coming down. As you can see, the clouds really coming down fast. So you're all kitted up well, I can see. How about route cards?
Yeah. We left him at the hostel.
At the hostel, Penna Pass. Yeah, fine, okay. How long do you think it's taking to get up?
Depends how quickly we walk.
Oh, okay. Hey, come on then. Right. Well, it's a good thing.
Whose sheep are these?
Sheep down here. These are David Jones's from the farm down the valley at Glastonbury. You can just see it down there, actually. They've been brought up onto the hill. As you can see, they've just been sheared. There's one there, and the lamb behind it. And they use this part of the mountain for grazing. As you can see, the grass here is very much stronger growth than it is much higher up, although they do go right to the top of the mountain.
All the way up.
All the way up, yes. Okay then, bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
From here, it should only be a short walk to the first of those lakes. Now's a good time to look at the map again.
Oh no, that's where we are, I think. Yeah, look, there's that lake.
Down there on the left is the lake. To the right, the mountain rises steeply.
It must be very steep. Oh, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad the path doesn't go up there, eh?
Should we?
Make our way.
The path follows a level track that runs alongside the mountain just above the lake. They've now reached the point where the second lake is just coming into view.
Where are we?
I think we're about there.
Yeah,
Can't go. This way's just over there.
Yeah. And we've got to follow the bank of the lake round.
Round that way.
Yeah.
Behind there.
Yeah, until we get up to the lake.
Yeah.
We just have to go up.
Up there.
Yeah, we're missing another path there.
And then follow the ridge along to the summit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It should be fairly level walking for a bit, at least while they're going round the lake. Ahead is the causeway. It was built by the miners to get to the mines, which were higher up in the mountain. On the other side are a series of broad white bands in the rock. These are bands of quartz, which the miners followed in their search for the copper ore. Further on are the ruins of an old building, once part of the mine. It's marked on the map.
What is it? Looks like a church.
Homes of the miners.
Might have been the place's roots.
In fact, the building used to be a mill, where they crushed the copper ore before taking it away to the valley below. Here, the old track made by the miners ends, but the footpath continues. From the map, it seems to be getting steeper. It crosses lots of closely spaced contours. On a rocky path like this, you can see why the right kind of boots are so important. If you haven't got proper support, you could easily sprain your ankle. This path follows a stream which tumbles down from the third and final lake, which is just a little further up. Ahead, the peaks are still covered by swirling cloud. The third lake is in a very steep-sided valley that was originally carved out of the mountain by ice. Let's look at the map again.
This is the last lake.
Follow that path round to the old ruins.
And it gets very steep up there.
Yeah, to the track up there.
They know it's steep because of the closeness of the contours.
Then we follow that up to the summit.
Now for the final stage of the climb.
The weather's getting bad.
Yeah, I'm going to put my canoe up.
They decided to continue despite the weather, as they'd had plenty of experience and were properly equipped.
Off we go.
The final stretch involves a long, steep climb over loose rocks and a footpath that's easy to miss. It won't be long now before they're in the cloud. They'll have to take extra care, as it's very easy to get lost in the mountains in a swirling mist. The summit at last, but it's hardly the day for a good view. It's very cold and blustery, and there's sleet in the air.
Made it.
It's taken about 3 hours to get up here, and you should allow the same time to get down, but not on this mountain. Mount Snowdon is well known for its mountain railway. By train, it'll take just half an hour to get to the bottom. A very welcome thought on a day like this.